Hello, welcome to World History 2019, 2020. I'm Mr. Dimich, the instructor for this class. I wanted to share a video, both with parents and students, to share a couple things. If you do go to the open house, it's a rather fast affair with 10 minutes. If you're a student, this will get you a little bit ahead if you're so inclined. I probably reality will end up having to cover some of this in the first day as well, but it would be helpful if you did it beforehand. So I'm going to talk to both parents and students here, a few nuts and bolts and so on. This slide I email to everybody, or I will email to everybody. Has some links in it, and then of course here are to the syllabus. Parents, both this is more important obviously for the students than the parents in this particular case. The syllabus, there's a lot of reading to it, and the major thing to understand, the two major takeaways. One, we're totally one-to-one class. You need to bring Chromebook all the time, every day, ready to go, charged up. And the other thing to understand is that most of the material will be online on Classroom. In fact, including even the textbook. The text that we work from, in addition to some other materials. Other than that, I'm going to go through a lot of this on class time or over various other periods, but you should take a read on this because you're going to be asked to acknowledge that you understand it. I may not read it word for word to you, but I'm going to definitely hit the highlights in class. A couple other things to make a note of. One is that if you're a parent, you can click on this, and if you wish, notice it says here optional. Okay, optional. So you do not, only if you wish to do this, do you need to do this optional survey that you can fill out if you need me to know something. If you'd like me to, I think I may have this up someplace else. My recent forms. Someone reason it said up. There it goes. Okay. Please make a note that you only have to do this. It's only if you wish to do it, and basically, if you want me to know, or you want me to have a summary sent, you want to have summary sent to Google from Google Classroom. With me, the assignments tend to be first on Classroom, and you can see them, whether or not your students turn them in a couple days ahead of time before sometimes they end up in parent or student view. So it is, ends up being a couple days ahead if you're so inclined. It may help avoid any late penalties. Hopefully, this this isn't necessary. Your high school student is starting to take responsibility for themselves, but if this is still an issue, you may wish to do this, or if you've got anything that you'd like me to know. Again, strictly optional if you'd like to do it. Now, what is not optional is, back to the students here for a minute, is students, here is your classroom code, and I believe that at this point, unless you're new to Lake Fenton, you all know how to get into Classroom. So these are the codes for World History A, depending if you're second, third, or fifth hour. Now I know some of you switch, so I'll leave those up as we go along to enter Classroom. Couple things to note when you get into the Classroom page, and right now I'm on second hour, but it's the same for everything. Here's, of course, the syllabus, and here is an acknowledgement and survey. So after you're done reading the syllabus, you're going to need to go to assignment 1, which is going to be due on Wednesday, which should be fairly easy. You're going to need to answer these questions. I may or may not be able to give you class time to do that. Legitimate seating concerns, anything that I need to know within reason for you to be successful. Something that you're struggling with, something that I need to know. I may not need to know anything, and that's fine too. when they call by another name or something. List one question that you have for me that's not necessarily addressed by me already or in the syllabus. I'll try to take time to go through and answer those. Legitimate seating concerns. Yep, you will have assigned seats. That's the way it goes. And I want to sit by so and so. I work better with so and so. Play that game. It's not necessarily a legitimate concern. I'd probably be changing the seats fairly frequently. You'll end up in different groups. You need to learn to work with other people besides just your little friend group. I'm not asking you to get married to other people, but at some point you will be working with a few other people. Eyesight, concentration levels up front, hearing difficulties I've had, those private concerns that you put on this form that only I read, those are legitimate. Other than that, you may have to deal with where you're sitting, and I do change them every so often. And then, of course, acknowledging that you understand the policies in the syllabus, late work, testing, grading, major assignments, and so on, which I will, of course, cover in class as well. But that is day one. Do the next day. The other thing that I'm going to ask everybody to do, please, is to join Remind. Parents, optional. Students, not optional. And I know I hear the complaints, and there's a link on Classroom next to the syllabus with a PDF that will open up on your Chromebook, open up on your phone, that will tell you how you can join. 2 different ways. If you have the Remind app, use the link rmd.at/lfwha, Lake Fenton, World History A, 210 is my room number. That you can, and go to that link, and you'll be asked to sign up for Remind there to join in that sense. If you have the Remind app. If you don't have the Remind app, some people's space is an issue. I've heard that many times. As phones get a little bigger, it becomes less of an issue, but space is an issue. You can just also text 81010 and put the message LFWHA210 at LFWHA210. Text the message at LFWHA210, and it'll just send you texts. I don't use it extensively, but I do use it, especially if somehow I've changed courses or want to make a clarification. I don't pepper spray you, but when I do, it's important, and you need to do this. I'm not gonna. I know 98% of you have phones, so I know that that's not going to be a big issue. The other thing that, if you look on here, and absent work, I have an extensive system for dealing with absences, checking the agenda on Google Calendar, which I'm going to show you how to add that here, checking Classroom for assignments, checking the absent bin. So coming back to me at the beginning of class and saying, what did we miss? Did we do anything? I may be rude and say, check the calendar, check Classroom, ask friends. Then, if you're still unclear, come to me. Here's the deal. It may seem like I'm being a little bit not cooperative, but in fact, if I spend time at the beginning of class, when I need to get class started, talking to you or talking to other people about absent work, it's taking time away I need to be spending with everybody else while they wait. Now, they may not care because, obviously, it's no big deal. We can wait a minute. It is to me. I have time to manage. I have responsibility to more than one student, to everyone in the class. I have made, and if I hadn't made extensive provisions to deal with absent work, that would be different. But I make extensive provisions to deal with absent work. So we need to be able to do this. So I'm going to make another recording with how to add the calendar. So that'll be on the next recording.